So next up, podcast listeners, we have the dumbest bill in America. And do we have a lead up, Mr. Producer?
Of course.
Here it is.
Dum 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 dum.
And it's the dumbest bill in America. And it is, you ready? The right to sit. The right to sit. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the name of this legislation. I did not make that up. Montgomery County State Delegate, he is a Maryland State Delegate, Vaughn Stewart, who represents a county called Montgomery County. Talk about a woke county, woke Inc. there. Montgomery County State Delegate, or Maryland State Delegate, Vaughn Stewart, put in a piece of legislation known as House Bill 258, entitled Employment Standards, Seating for Employees, the Right to Sit Act of 2022. The Right to Sit Act of 2022. So, podcast listeners, are you ready for this? And this happens to do with employers, right? And employees. An employer that employs 15 or more employees shall provide a suitable seat for an employee if the nature of the work that the employee performs can reasonably be performed while seated. And for a newly constructed facility or as part of a major renovation, may not design a workspace that requires an employee to stand while performing work if the workspace could reasonably be designed to allow the work to be performed while seated. That's right. So if you're an employee and you're a bartender, you have the right to sit. If you're an employee and you're a waiter, you have the right to sit. So how does that work? I guess you have a stool. Are stools allowed? Or is it chairs only? So what is it? Your stool has like wheels on it, and then you like sit and you like push yourself around the entire restaurant and say, "Hi, may I help you?" while you're sitting down, and you sit down at the table with them. Or can umpires have seats? In a baseball game, he just puts a seat down and sits down and says, this is a reasonable accommodation as an umpire. So an employer that employs 14 or less employees shall provide a suitable seat for each employee who requests a seat if the nature of the work that the employee performs can be performed while seated. Folks, I'm reading this from the bill. This is literally from the bill, the Right to Sit Act. It is a broad-brushed bill that says no matter the employer, no matter what you do, no matter what the nature of your job is, it's not that you have a right to a break. That's not what this bill is. The bill is you have a right to sit down the whole time you're doing the job. Talk about sitting down on the job, right? I thought that was considered a bad thing. Well, when you're a little socialist like this delegate, ladies and gentlemen, Delegate Vaughn Stewart, a Maryland state delegate, is an avowed socialist. When you're an avowed socialist, you're all about sitting down on the job because you don't think people should have to work anyway. Because under true socialism and Marxism, they're one and the same. The whole idea is that you get to work as little as you want. Each person should work according to their ability and take according to their need, according to Karl Marx. And apparently, according to Vaughn Stewart, each person should have as many chairs as they want and they can sit down on the job. So that's not all. Wait, that's not it. There's more. So if an employer is really bad and he doesn't let you sit down on the job, I don't mean take a break. I mean just like sit down on the job the whole time. The initial violation is $100. And a subsequent violation is $200. On written request, an employee who is entitled to bring an action under this bill may take an assignment of the claim and trust for the employee ask the Attorney General to bring an action as well, and may consolidate a bunch of actions to do a class action lawsuit against the employer. You know what? I have a right to sit all the time on the job, all the time. So I was thinking about this, podcast listeners, and I'm thinking this is like canceling standing, right? It's like cancel culture in reverse, you know? I'm canceling standing on the job. No standing allowed. And you're going to get a seat. You can call Mike Lindell for, a My Pillow seat cushion. Perhaps you can do that. And I also thought of the movie Office Space. Have you all seen that movie Office Space? That's the movie where the incredibly annoying boss just walks around with a cup of coffee all the time, is going, I'm going to need those TPS reports, and he's just like the ultimate worst in jobs where it's so administrative and boring. It just kills your soul. And there's this character in Office Space, his name's Milton, and he wants his stapler back because his boss took his stapler, wouldn't allow him to have a stapler. I mean, Milton wasn't doing anything wrong with the stapler. He just needs a stapler. So maybe we should have a right to a stapler act. Right to sit act, right to a stapler act. Right to a massage act on the job. While you're sitting down, you need to have a massage, Hey, employers, $100 for each violation for not giving your employees a massage while they're sitting down on the job. We have a short clip of Milton from Office Space. You'll recall this, and we're just doing this to show you how stupid this bill is that Delegate Vaughn Stewart of the state of Maryland put in, the Right to Sit Act. But first, here's Milton from Office Space. We have the clip. Here it is.
Hi, Milton. What's happening? Milton, we're going to need to go ahead and move you downstairs into storage B.
No,
we
I was told I could
have some
not.
new people coming in, and we need all the space we can get.
But there's no space.
So if you could just go ahead and pack up your stuff and move it down there, that would be terrific.
I was told
okay?
I could stay. Excuse me. I believe you have my stapler.
So there you go. That's from Office Space. And, Milton just wants a stapler. So we should have a right to staple act. And we should have a right to not have to move your office act. And then if you're on an assembly line, right, there are certainly tens of thousands of people in the United States that are on assembly lines of different types. Right to sit act. It doesn't matter that your job requires you to stand and that you knew that when you applied for it. You should have a right to sit down on the job. And this, folks, tells you how out of control so many politicians are across the country. They're out of control because they run out of bills to put in that are truly meaningful and that are truly helping advance our society. I mean, the idea, ladies and gentlemen, is this. As an elected official, you are supposed to not put in hardly any bills. The whole idea is to leave people alone so they can live their lives. And this guy just hates employees. He hates employers. He just hates employers. That's really what this comes down to. He thinks employers are bad because he's a socialist. He doesn't think that anyone should be self-employed or anyone should have a company that they own. There shouldn't be owners of companies. Classic Marxist. We should all own the companies together. We should all be able to sit down and, you want to go out there and buy yourself a new car. That's fine, even if you're sitting down on the job. And this is how incredibly stupid things are getting in the legislatures and by politicians across America. And certainly, Delegate Vaughn Stewart does not disappoint with this week's dumbest bill in America, the right to sit. It's a fundamental human right. And that's it for Mark and the Millennials. And that's the dumbest bill in America. Thank you for joining Mark and the Millennials. This is Mark Fisher. Thank you to our producer, Christopher Hopkins. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Rumble, and our website. See you next time.